With the end of the season here, I want to take a look at the builds that I'm really excited to make for Season of the Wish. Season of the Wish launches in just under 2 weeks, and there are actually quite a few builds that I want to make just from the general information we've gotten, from the fact that they've hinted that Stasis is going to get some love and some of the accidental exotic changes that came through at the beginning of the season. These are all builds that I'm actually really excited to make, and I've kind of already started to make them as best I can without the artifact and other things that we just don't know that are coming. Also, this will be the last video of the season, as I'm going to take a little vacation before next season, so this way I can start it fresh and ready to go. So with that, like and subscribe if you want to keep seeing more, and comment down below what builds you want to see me make or what builds you're excited to see next season. And let's have a quick word from our sponsor. We're obviously going to include the new exotics that come out next season on this list, but we don't know what they are, so I can't give you a definite answer of what I'm going to do with them. But starting with our Stasis Hunter, we're going to take a look at Mask of Bacchus. This is an exotic I really haven't used much since it got its update in Lightfall to include that weapon surge bonus, but even before that I found this exotic pretty fun to use. It was kind of a pain because it was like against frozen or slow targets, but now it's just you dodge, you get that 4x bonus to stasis and arc weapons, which is going to be really good because there are a lot of really good stasis and arc weapons that are in rotation for DPS, not including the sniper rifle buffs that are coming, that now we can include Cloud Strike into this list. So I'm looking forward to testing what weapons work really good with this build, and then going from there and seeing how I can optimize the amount of times we actually have this bonus. The other stasis exotic that I'm really looking forward to is Renewal Grasp. This is the exotic that I'm sure every stasis hunter is ready to bust out and dust off. This past season they had all their nerfs walk back, meaning it doesn't increase our grenade cooldown. We get that nice bonus to damage reduction, and when we throw it and enemies are standing in it, they're going to do reduced damage. I really like this exotic as it pushes our stasis hunter into more of a kind of support-like role on a non-support-like class, and kind of changes how we play overall. For our solar hunter, these two exotics are based around the changes that kind of got leaked when they did their little update, and the first one we're going to look at is Celestial Nighthawk. Nighthawk is now going to get a decreased super cooldown when we get precision defeats. That is going to be amazing because we're able to do that big boy golden gun damage more often, whether that be in Grandmasters, dungeons, Nightfalls, all that good stuff. The only other thing I want to see them do with this exotic is maybe just give it like a 10 to 20% increase in damage. This way it can compete with the other exotics that do really good one-off damage, like Pyro Gale Gauntlets now and Cuirass of the Falling Star. The other Solar Hunter exotic we're going to look at is Shards of Galanor. We know that next season when we get a powered melee defeat, we're going to reduce the cooldown of our super. This is amazing, as when we use our Blade Barrage, Shards of Galanor is already going to refund 50% of our super, so then we can just continuously throw knives, dodge, throw knives, reduce that cooldown even further, and be able to throw those blades wherever we want, allowing it to do consistent and very good damage. For the last hunter build that I want to make, we're going to try an arc build with an exotic I haven't really used or even thought about using since it came out, and that's going to be Triton Vice. And you may ask why. Well, that's because our class exotic Glaive, Edge of Concurrence, is getting a nice buff where it's going to jolt targets, and glaives as a whole are getting some very nice quality of life changes, so I want to try using this glaive as it's been in the game for almost 2 years at this point or something crazy, and they've just never been useful. So with those buffs, I'm willing to try it and see how it goes. Moving on to our Titan, we're going to look at the Stasis builds first, and this first one is probably the one that I'm most excited about for my Titan, as it includes an exotic that I really love, and that is going to be Hoarfrost Z. It turns our barricade into a wall of stasis crystals, and it's going to give us and our allies a nice bonus to reload, stability, and even range. With a nice little cherry on top of stasis crystals shattering, do some actually really good damage to adds and everything else that it gets hit by. So we can compare this with our glacier grenades and cryoclasm and just be able to slide through all of our stasis crystals, shatter them, and do some very good damage. Another Titan exotic that I really haven't played with much, Cadmus Ridge Cap. These play very heavily into Diamond Lances. I love Diamond Lances, you love Diamond Lances, and the random blueberries that you stuck in strikes with also really love Diamond Lances. With this, you'll be able to make a ton of Diamond Lances for you and your teammates to take advantage of, and it also makes it so they make little tiny stasis crystals when you throw them. I'm really not sure how this is going to work in high-end content, but nonetheless, I'm really excited to try to use this. For our final stasis exotic, of course, we have Icefall Mantles. When it comes to this exotic, I'm still kind of on the fence about making a build with it. I have a few ideas of weapons to pair with it to take advantage of its 4x stasis bonus damage when you pop your barricade. The only problem is, of course, you have that reduced movement, and that really kills it for a lot of people, myself included. But who knows, maybe we're going to be in a position next season where standing on a plate, which is a pretty common mechanic, is something we need to absolutely do, and maybe this is going to shine through and just be able to be that build we need it to be. The last little section for our Titans, we're going to make a Void build with the Glaive Edge of Action, since it is also getting a nice little buff, and I want to try with either Helm of St. 14 or Syntheseps to see how it performs with both of them and just go from there. Other than that, I currently don't know of what other changes they're making for Titan exotics next season, but of course, whatever they come out with, I'm willing to try and make builds for, as that is what we do on this channel. Next, we're going to take a look at Warlocks, and we're going to start with Stasis. Of course, you cannot have a Stasis Warlock build without Osmiomancy gloves. It is time for the reigning champion of endgame builds to take its place at the top once again. This is very exciting, as this is one exotic that makes 90% of that hard endgame content extremely easy, as you can toss out 2 of these Stasis turrets or endless amount of cold snap grenades and just freeze everything in sight. Again, Osmiomancy gloves is easily probably one of the S or A tier or anything beyond that builds for endgame content. Another Stasis exotic for Warlocks that I'm really excited to try is Balador's Wrathweavers. This exotic is very interesting to me, as it'll put Shadebinder in a position to potentially deal good damage to champions and regular adds with its shatter damage, while also giving out a buff for ally stasis weapons and giving an overshield. It's going to put Shadebinders in a very interesting spot of being support but not support at the same time. It is one that I definitely need to play with and test to see what it can do. Moving on to our solar builds that I'm going to make next season, we're going to start with Rain of Fire. I was sitting here and I was writing the script and I completely forgot about this exotic until I remember that Vex Mythoclast is getting an enormous buff next season, and this particular exotic pairs very nicely with it, as Vex is still a fusion rifle. Rain of Fire grants Radiant when you get fusion rifle defeats. I know Vex is a raid weapon, but honestly the changes that are coming are just too good to not make a build with it. We're also going to give Boots of the Assembler a try. This is going to get a chance because, of course, the Warlock Glaive Edge of Intent is getting some very nice buffs. Honestly, probably the best buffs across the board, as the healing is going to change from just our regular healing buff to Cure and Restoration, meaning it is going to synergize with our Solar 3.0 fragments like Ember of Benevolence that actually uses those buffs to give us a cooldown, so we can really play into a support-based build with this. Of course, there's going to be a version with Lumina, so you can either use Lumina or you can use this glaive. And finally, for Warlocks, we're going to make a Void build with, of course, Necrotic Grips. This is going to show up a lot on your YouTube feed next season, and for good reason. Thorn is getting a very good catalyst that is going to give it some very nice PvP buffs, and is going to allow us to overflow the magazine from picking up the soul remnants it leaves behind. I know a lot of people are going to want to use this with Strand, with the old Osteo Striga strap, but I'm going with Void because I'm a nerd. Necrotic Grips has Grasp of the Devourer, Thorn has Mark of the Devourer, and Soul Devourer, so I want to pair this with Void so we can pair that with the Devour buff from the Void subclass and just make a whole thing about it. With that, that is the end of this particular video. Again, there will not be a video next week. I'm going to be on vacation. Also, I apologize that this video also doesn't sound that great. I'm still trying to fine-tune my audio recording ever since that they got a little update and all my settings got reset, so I'm really trying to fix that again before next season. But of course, like, comment, and subscribe if you want to keep seeing more, and of course, comment with the builds you want to see first, what builds you're really excited to see. And with that, I will see you guys in the next video.